clear my voice up. Move some stuff around. Oopsies. Um, Hopefully Mrs. Contrarian can help me moderate. Let me make sure my Streamlabs is working. Fix my chat filter. All right. So just taking a break from the little religious stuff I've been doing for the past few days. I'll probably restart that tomorrow. But taking a break from it right now. Uh, do, 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 do. See if anyone hops in. Okay, my cloud bot is active. And I think my live is up. Let me check. I saw one person appear, so it looks like the visibility of my live stream is public. Yeah. Cool. Aside from that, yeah. Looks like everything is doing. So looks like everything is up to snuff. But anyway, let me not just make dead air here. So this is going to be Ask Me Anything when people come into the chat room, if they come into the chat room. If not, I'm going to dip. But I already see people coming in. So hello to people coming into the chat room. So this is my Ask Me Anything format, which means people can just, generally ask me questions as long as they're like um, friendly questions, meaning like, nothing inappropriate. um, I've been doing like these little religious discussions for the last couple of days. So just want to take a break from that and get back to my Ask Me Anything format. How old am I? I'm in my 40s. I stopped giving out exact information on here because I don't really trust people. So I used to be, I was told by a previous moderator that I overshare. So I learned that lesson, stop oversharing. So hey, Mrs. Contrarian. I was originally trying to get you to come on to the live because I was gonna like for the whole week I was talking about like religious stuff, and so I was gonna ask you to come on and ask you about like religion in the Philippines, and like we could talk about that. We could talk about like some of the cult stuff that goes on there. Um, Although I haven't seen any of the cultish stuff myself. Um, I guess other than like when we were watching the news and they showed the thing they do, is it around Christmas? I can't remember if it's around Christmas or Easter when they do the whole person where they actually put a person on a cross and march them down. I forgot what city that is, and they actually have a person on the cross and do. Oh, that's kind of wild. But other than that, yeah. So I was gonna. That's why I was gonna. That's why I was asking you. Couldn't you come on? Because I was like, well, maybe we could talk about that sort of stuff. You seen one ritual in the mountains, like what at one of those villages that you visited during your travel, doing one of your hikes, or what happened in the ritual? Was it something like weird? Oh, that's what I was hearing in the background. I was, oops. Well, while she's answering that, guys, so I mean, other folks can ask me questions. Again, I don't mind answering personal questions, but I just don't like. I'm not going to give out like personal details of my life, just because I used to do a lot of that 2, 3 years ago, and there are a lot of unstable people who come on to um, live streams and will misuse such information. So I've learned to start using more operational security on here than I formerly did. For instance, I used to stand uh, with my degrees in the background. Then I realized people were like taking like the information from my degrees on there and using it. So that became creepy. So now I don't do that anymore. Other people were doing like screenshots of me on the live stream and then editing it to make it look really cringe. So that was messed up as well. Of course, I ended up, uh, and then the person used some sort of well, it was more than one person. It was like 2, 3 people, and they were going back and forth and changing. They had a system where they could keep changing their username and keep coming back no matter how many times I banned that username, because unfortunately YouTube stopped allowing YouTube creators from banning the person's IP address, which is what they used to allow us to do. And I don't know why they stopped doing that, because when you have really unstable people viewing your in your streams, it would make more sense to allow the creator to ban people's IP than to keep letting them come back. And I think that was poor judgment on YouTube's part to allow people to keep harassing and haranguing YouTube creators, because they took away the ability of YouTube creators to ban that person's IP. So anyway, this is Contrarian. Yes, during one of my hikes, they worship Jose Rizal. Yeah, like it's one of those Rizal cults. So I told you like long time ago, before I even came to the Philippines or thought about coming there, back in like 2011, 2010, I used to watch the Nat Geo channel, National Geographic um, cable channel, and they had um, this series uh, called Taboo, and often a lot of those episodes would be in the Philippines. Although, like I said, in the Philippines, I've not seen that taboo stuff, but usually every time they had like something in the Philippines, it was like in those like rural or mountain provinces, like you were talking about, and they show like cults, Another thing they showed taboo was like some of the food you guys eat. Well, not I know you don't eat it, but some of the stuff people eat, like the balut and all that sort of stuff. And so yeah, so one of the uh, episodes on taboo was all just about food that I guess most Americans or Westerners would consider taboo, being eaten in parts of the world. And of course, they showed balut in the Philippines. And then I think they had like one or two episodes on like cults and other religious or weird stuff that happened in the Philippines. So they were, so the Philippines was a frequent um, location on Nat Geo's Taboo. I wish they had it on the Disney Channel, but they don't. I guess because that even though the National Geographic, I keep saying genographic from the little DNA thing I did, but the National Geographic channel is one of the um, subcategories on Disney Plus, and then they have another version of it on Hulu, but now Hulu and Disney are bundled together. So I would think that will allow them to put some more of the more adult risque stuff on there. Like Taboo was one of those things. And when you said you saw them worshiping Rizal, like, so what were they doing? First of all, how it's weird that they combine Catholicism with the worship of Rizal. And two, why are they worshiping him? Like, that's weird. Like, people here don't, as far as I know, I don't know of any George Washington religious cults here. The closest you could get to a George Washington religious cult is just the Federalists, but the Federalists aren't a cult. They are just like a body of um, American conservatives, but they're not really a cult. Um, but yeah, that's kind of weird that there's a cult surrounding that man. I never understood that. So what were they doing during the ritual? So while she answers that 5 minutes later, people can give me your questions and comments as well. Some things, some things I do ignore if they're just too out of pocket. Like if you're just saying some off the wall shit, I will just ignore it. I'm sorry. Like when I say that's why I say you can ask me any questions, but they should be like family friendly questions. They should be at least somewhat rational. Like don't just say dumb shit because I will come with the smoke. Pause. But I will have smoke for like really stupid trolly type comments or people who seem to be on the fucking spectrum. Like if you're on the spectrum or something and you're just saying weird wild shit, yeah, no, that's I'm not gonna even waste my time unless I des- decide to roast you. But I always say people who are neurodivergent shouldn't be on social media anyway. And I know that seems mean, but really, if you don't, if your brain is is wired in such a way that you don't have any fucking filter, then social media isn't the place for you. Unfortunately, is way too many people comfortable with displaying their mental instability online. And that should change. My friends and I have joked uh, several times that perhaps before a person can leave a comment on social media or in live streams, they have to undergo some sort of like I don't know, like 5 minute IQ test to screen out the idiots. Of course, that would leave most comment threads as well as live streams empty because let's face it, a lot of the people who think they need to voice an opinion in those spaces tend to not be the brightest. So maybe that would be a mistake. I don't know. Um, but it's not even about being bright. It's just about having a certain, just displaying a certain decorum. And like I said, it's not really about general intelligence. It's more about being mentally stable. And people who are neurodivergent, specifically those on the spectrum, tend to just don't have a constraint on what they will say or what they will send out in in a message or a comment. Then you get folks who probably can constrain themselves, do have a filter, but they tend to have a personality that veers into the dark triad of personality. Um, and so whereas most people's personality can be described through the big five of personalities. There's something called the dark triad. There's something some even postulate it's a dark tetrad. Tetrad mean meaning four, but the triad is typically of three types of things, which is narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. So those folks really shouldn't be on social media either. Some of this contrarian says everyone wore white and hiked up the mountain in single file. Then the last man in line, I assume this was their leader, had no shirt on and had several amulets covering his chest. Amulets? Amulets? And so that's what's so weird about the Jose Rizal cults is like, why is it so mystical when Jose Rizal was like he was just like he was a down to earth sort of person. Like I don't get like that's what's weird about the cult surrounding him is that from the little bit I've learned about Jose Rizal, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. He wasn't like a magical thinking person, or am I wrong? Was he a magical thinking sort of person? But he seemed like a really practical guy, like political leader. I think writer and poet or something like that. Well educated. Um, and I believe what he was educated in Europe, right? Unless I'm wrong. I think I don't I haven't read about him in so long, but from what I remember, I think he was like educated in Europe. Um, he was a writer, poet, or whatever, and of course a political leader and rebel. And we went to the area in Manila where he was executed, but none of the stuff I learned about him pointed to anything about him leaning into mysticism or the occult. So it's weird that people have fashioned um, 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 these sort of these religious cults around his around his life. That's kind of weird. And then why why is the guy wearing amulets? That's probably all the money that they gave they gave to that cult probably went into buying stupid shit like that, like amulets and dumb stuff. What, why is he wearing amulets? And I hope you weren't alone when you was looking at this, because that would have been dangerous for you to be around those people alone. I hope you were definitely with your uh your ATAT group. Hey, yes he was. What? Yes he was. What? She says they went to a cave near the mountaintop uh, and lit candles and prayed there. No, I wasn't alone. Okay, good. And you were saying yes, he was. What? Are you saying Rizal was an occultist, or were you talking about the religious leader? Oh, oh, studying Europe. Oh, so yeah, I was right. So he did like go off to, because that used to happen a lot. Um, which is funny because a lot of these people who start like these human rights and civil rights um, in different parts of the world, ironically, went to Europe to be educated. Then they come back to their respective countries more enlightened, but ready to fight against the very people who educated them, which is always kind of funny to me, especially like when you think of like in different parts of the world, there's like Pan Asian, there's like a you know Pan Asian movement. Although I think that's mostly with Asian Americans, but I'm sure there's some Asians in East Asia as well to do that. But there's like a Pan Asian movement amongst Asians, particularly Asian Americans. There was a Pan Africanist movement in mostly among Black Americans, but some Africans and Caribbean people as well. There was a Pan Latino movement as well, and all these people who start uh, these pan ethnic movements all were educated in Europe, which it makes sense because that's where those little pan ethnic movements started, because they first started with the pan Slavic movement in Europe. So see, this is what I'm talking about. These little autistic retards like this dude passing bat 5603. You're retarded in your band. Same thing with organic productions. You're retarded in your band. You're probably some little autistic retard, low IQ bitch. You're gone. I don't like stupid people. I really don't. I don't know why. Sometimes I don't know why endeavor to be a content creator when you got to talk, when you have to deal with like retarded people. I may just go back to making long form videos after I upgrade and get a video so I can walk around with it. I'm probably going to switch back to long form video making so I don't actually have to talk with stupid people on a regular, and then hire a social media manager to actually deal with the comments. So I really don't have patience for stupid or mentally unstable people. This is why I decided. This is why I decided back in college I didn't want to be a clinical psychologist, because I wouldn't have had the patience to deal with a bunch of morons. Even as a life coach, I would get exhausted by dealing with a particular client I have now. So yeah. But anyway, um, but yeah. So is there? So was there something that kind of kicked off the all the resolve cults in the Philippines? Like in the place where your family was going, you said they were cult like. Were they into the resolve thing, or were they just like really, or were they just like a Christian, or were they just like a little Christian church that was a little too, um, I don't know, evangelists, like they took their evangelism a little too seriously, or was it like, or were they like sort of a resolve cult themselves? So I know you kind of side eyed that for a long time before they finally all quit. Oh yeah, it was a Christian church. So were they just did they just take their evangelism a little too seriously? Was that the problem? Oh, yeah. She says, "Yep," and yeah, it was a Christian church. Yeah, that has always been my major problem with going to church is just the money people spend tithing could be money that they invest in themselves, um, or use to give back to their family. I don't see the point in slaving all week long just to give it away on Sunday because someone is good at making speeches. I, it just seems dumb because at the end of the day, nothing like you may feel better leaving church on Sunday, but nothing has actually changed. Your life isn't better, the world isn't better, but you feel better subjectively because you heard someone that has trained to be able to give very emotionally appealing sermons, and you're willing to give away a bit of your money. That used to be the most annoying thing for me. I hated going to church and then I'd be given money from my mother or whomever to tithe, and I would ask how much should I put, how much should I give them, and she would give me this dumb look like, oh, however much you think you should give to the Lord. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, oh, okay, so a perfect being needs my money, right? I I don't know how fucking stupid that is. This is one of the first this is one of the first things that drove me towards atheism. But even before I was atheist, I was still I had became a deist. A deist were people who do believe in God, but they don't believe that God is immanent in the world. Like he pretty much sits outside of the universe like a watchmaker who has constructed his clock and lets it run on its own. Um, that's pretty much how was my view in high school. Either that of seeing God as a blind watchmaker or seeing God as just being equivalent to the universe, which is a pantheist sort of view. But either way, deism or pantheism or both like edging close to atheism, which is where I eventually went. um, but that really annoyed me, like going to church and being given money just to have to give it to them. Like, why? Why does a perfect being need my money? Why does a perfect being need anything? A perfect being doesn't need anything from anyone because it is by definition a perfect being. A perfect being needing anything from anyone would make it less than perfect. So yeah, that's why I said the Christian concept of God in my earlier live streams a few days ago. I said the Christian concept of a perfect being doesn't make sense with the state of affairs of the world. It really doesn't. It sounds stupid for a perfect being to need people's money or to need people's love. A perfect being doesn't need anything from anyone, not money, not love, not food, not anything. It's a perfect being. Being. Oh, so yeah. I went to my father's church, and there was a particularly annoying minister or whatever. Hey, hey, Miss Needle, what are you? How are you doing? And how is your health? How are you doing? So she's here to correct me. She said he, and when she says he, she's talking about God, guys. She says he needs everyone come to repentance because he loves humans that much. He made us in his image and likeness. No, I do get that, Miss Needle. My my I guess my critique is more of a philosophical one, which is basically that a perfect being doesn't need anything from anyone. Now, I'm perfectly like I'll accept that in um in how I want to put it in Christian. I didn't know you even still watch me, to be honest, but I'm glad you're still around. But anyway, guys, I'm genuinely happy to see this lady here, Miss Needle. Go check out her channel, by the way. She needs more followers. She's a talented musician and producer. For the right amount of money, she can get your stuff right too. Anyway, enough, you know, um, shamelessly plugging Miss Needle's channel. But anyway, yeah, again, yeah, I can see from certain, I guess, doctrines how that would work, Miss Needle. But I was just saying from a purely philosophical point of view, a perfect being shouldn't need anything from anyone. But getting back to you, Mrs. Contrarian. So, well, how when did those resolve starts? Excuse me. When did those resolve cults start, and what kind of kicked it off? Was it? I mean, I get he was a martyr, and sometimes there can arise from martyrdom a sort of like uh, um, cult of personality. Because I mean, that's happened with people here. Like when you see people like when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, um, when certain celebrities passed away at a young age, there was sort of a martyrdom around those people. But they rarely became like full on cults. I mean, the closest thing might have been like with Elvis Presley. um, yeah, because Elvis, like it became very cult like around Elvis Presley. And it's funny, a lot of those people from back in the day were all like hated by the FBI, particularly when they were under the leadership of that little cross-dressing FBI director, Hoover, Edgar Edgar J. Hoover. He hated everyone. He kept files on a bunch of people. Like I thought he just hated black people, but he kept files on anyone that leaned left or um, had uh, certain public stand like that were liked by a lot of people. So he didn't like Charlie Chapman. Of course, to find out later, Charlie Chapman was not only was he left leaning, but he was also of Romani heritage. I don't know if Hoover knew that he was of Romani heritage. Romani are people that used to be called gypsies, but they considered the term gypsy a slur, so they prefer being called Roma over Romani people. Um, Plus, gypsy doesn't make sense because they're not people who came from Egypt. They actually are descended from a bunch of uh, no, um, northern Indians who migrated into Europe. But anyway, so he kept files on like Charlie Chaplin, Elvis Presley. I'm like, Elvis Presley? She said, I don't know, it's been around for years. No, I thought it started like decades ago. Like, um, well, I know it's been around since like the 2000s, but I thought it started around like, I don't know, like the 60s or 50s or something like that. But it's just weird to me, like making a, a religious cult out of a political figure. Like I said, it would be just as weird if, say, like people here had started a cult around George Washington. Now, a lot of people revere George Washington, to be sure, and he has his own holiday. Um, because back in the '80s, there used to be like a George Washington Day and a Abraham Lincoln Day, and instead they just made them one federal holiday, President's Day, but it falls on George Washington's birthday since he's like the first president of the U.S. And for folks who don't know, I'm also related to a president, not George Washington though. um, that's why I always laugh when I have a bunch of trolls saying go back to X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, dude, I'm more American than any of you. Like I could trace my heritage back to the 1600s before there was a United States. I can trace my ancestry back to colonial America. So foundational Black American, FBA, all the way. Anywho, getting back to the subject. Yeah, the resolve cults are just weird, and that's just funny. So when you guys saw that, were you guys laughing or were you just shocked? Like seeing a bunch of people walking up the mountain in white, then all of a sudden you see a guy just walking bare chested with a bunch of amulets on his, like he's a sorcerer. And it's so weird because, like I said, all the images I've seen of Jose Rizal shows a conservative looking dressed man. Like, why would people why would people be dressed like Merlin the sorcerer to to I don't know, manifest the powers of Jose Rizal? That's just weird. It's funny. It's funny because it's true. But yeah, I'm genuinely happy to see Miss Nito back. I haven't seen because I've checked out her channel recently and I hadn't seen any new content up, so I thought that she might have been hospitalized or something, or she could have just been. But I, otherwise, I hope maybe she was just busy with her work. So good, good on her. But again, I've been doing my religious debates all week, but today is not the day for that. I was just expressing my own cynicism of why churches demand money, and they make money hand over fist, by the way, because churches are have a tax exempt status, so they don't pay taxes on any of that money that they're given. And particularly in the Black community, I see them as a little parasitic because often these churches thrive in the poorest parts of the inner city, yet most of the people who go and most of the people who lead them tend to be of middle class and usually live outside of those inner city communities. Mrs. Contrarian says, by the way, I have some fresh chica about my sister. Oh, uh, you know, grab I'm gonna grab me some. Well, so when we get off, I'm gonna grab some fruit snacks. You got the chismis. But Miss Nito, if you're still here, please come back. Um, by the way, I would love for you to moderate again when whenever you have the time to moderate, and we um if we're well, if you do hear this, you can still reach out on to me, reach out to me on Instagram. I'm still on there. You know, and she has particular religious beliefs, so I'm not here to challenge her beliefs. Now, luckily, Mrs. Contrarian and I are pretty much on the same wavelength when it comes to being non-religious. And it's funny, I didn't even learn that about her until like like 2 years after we've been married. That she kind of had the same like non-religious views as I do. Literally like 2 years after marriage, but it's because it never became an issue. So, um, you know, I leaked water on myself. I'm not going to even make any jokes. So, duh, duh, duh. But yeah, I'm happy. I didn't know. I didn't even know Miss Needle knew I still existed. God, you never know who's watching, but just sometimes just don't leave comments or whatever. You never know. Moonlit Fern might be still out there somewhere. I think he changed his username for a second time because to deal with the trolls who doxed him on his previous account. But he will have to come out to me so I can know that that's he would have to come back so I can verify that that's him and reinstate him as a moderator because I can't reinstate the new username without knowing that that's actually he and not someone else. So, but luckily I still have moderators here, not including Mrs. Contrarian, but uh, I have Carlton and Agatha. They're still here. My new one, Tina, she's still here. Then I have my AI moderation through the cloud bot from Streamlabs, which helps me out a lot as well. But anytime Mrs. Needle wants to come back, she can come back and, moderate if she chooses. But what time is it, Mrs. Trey? Oh, it's 8:36. So I'm about to get off soon. So I like my I stay up. I mean, I get up much early, so I stay up too late. I binge watched the whole fifth season of um, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon anime. It's also called Danmachi, but I didn't know the Japanese name for it. I don't know why they give us such. I don't know why some of these animes have such long titles, and then there'd be a short one in Japanese, like this, like that. It's called Danmachi, but they give this long English name that could be an entire an entire sentence. Fidget spinner, Batman. But if no one else is gonna talk, I'm gonna go get the chica from Mrs. Contrarian about my sister-in-law. Hopefully something good and not bad, but we'll see. You never know. Someone's calling me grandpa. Meanwhile, I'm more fit than you are, bitch. I run 7 miles every day, then do a half an hour of shadow boxing. And that's just my morning routine. That has nothing to do with hitting the gym later. But you calling someone grandpa, you bitch ass nigga, shut up. None of these trolls will say this shit to my face because they know they would get fucked up. Little faggot. And yeah, YouTube lets me say that now. So I can call y'all retards and faggots all I want. Because if you come here acting retarded and saying some little faggot shit, I'm gonna call you out on it. Bunch of fanooks. Fanook, 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 fanook. Robert says, yeah, exactly. Get the fuck out of here, trolls. Yeah, like, dude, it is so weird that people will randomly come up to like you like no one would do this in real life, right? You know what I'm saying, bro? Like no one would come up to someone in real life and just randomly start fucking with them, especially not another man, given the fact that that could lead to violence. Like Kevin Samuels used to always say, there's always a low level of violence that's possible at popping off anytime between men. That's why men generally give each other, you know, a modicum of respect. Um, but that is bypassed on social media because people think because of the anonymity of being behind a digital screen, they can be disrespectful. But even if you can do that, why would someone do that? Like, why would you randomly attack a host of a live stream just because you can do it when they're not like, unless they've personally attacked you or your beliefs or something of the nature? I don't get what they how they get a rise out of doing that. Some of it comes out of immaturity, but a lot of it comes from, again, these people. There's a lot of people on the spectrum. We need to do something about uh, Americans. Um, that's why I'm completely with uh, Robert um, Robert F. Kennedy. There has been a rise in people on the spectrum because it's typically folks like that who have no verbal filter and will just come on to live streams, come into social media comment threads, um, or chat rooms, and just be completely obnoxious for no reason. Robert says exactly. I've only ever had one person attacking me that I was trying to be nice to. Yeah, it's just weird. It's really weird. Like again, I can see like if I as a host said something that offended someone, and so you know out of annoyance or frustration, they come onto my stream and then attack me because they feel like I've insulted them or something that is a part of them, like their personal beliefs, for instance, or their lifestyle, um, or their career, something, But to just randomly troll people, like first of all, trolling is a very feminine thing to do. Let's get that out of the way. It, men men coming onto a live stream trolling is very effeminate. It is. It's very effeminate. Guys usually when they have a beef with someone, they'll fight it out. But to sit there and troll people, that's very bitch like behavior. It's very effeminate. And two, to randomly attack a stranger, it's not only effeminate, but it's borderline psycho. Like, why would you just decide to attack a stranger? This is like people like walking around in the city that made a game out of like running up and hitting people in the back of the head for no reason. Robert says bitch energy. It really is. It is bitch energy because that's something a woman would do. Is like come in and troll people and stuff like that. But it's usually not women doing it. It's usually men. Like I said, it's very effeminate behavior for a guy of any age to do that. Because like I said, when we were young, if when we had beef with each other, we would roast each other, right? Or we would fight. We would either crack jokes on each other or we would fight. But it wouldn't be this little. cyberbullying and trolling stuff. That's some really bitch made behavior. And since most of these guys don't have dads, that explains it. Like there's some content creators that I don't like, but I don't go onto their videos or streams and talk a lot of trash. That's just weird. Change my and then the funny thing is I changed my I changed my chat filter in the chat room to allow all people to have their messages come through. But 2 years ago, I was getting it really badly with trolls because we it was like a group of two or three guys that were going back and forth, and it got really bad. And I didn't know how to control it at the time because back then I didn't know that I could actually go into the controls in my chat room and actually change the community moderations to make it only that people who were sub to me could chat, or only people who were specific. So you so for community moderation, like you could do it. So you could let anyone do it, or you could change it to only subscribers, or you can limit it even more to only approved users. So I didn't know about those tools 2 years ago when I was getting really bad. Like these guys would screenshot my videos and then like do little cringy stuff and put it in the chat room, or they would go in and try to look up my my personal life and all that sort of stuff. It was weird until my previous moderator Moonlit ended up uh look finding their personal info. He was like, "I'm gonna release this if you don't keep playing." So shout out to my moderator Moonlit. Hope he comes back under his new username. Rob says, "I leave people the hell alone because I want them to leave me alone, and I'm not going to mash on someone's grind just because I don't like how they're doing it." Yeah, and most of the time, it's not even that they dislike me. They're just doing it because they can, or like they think, "Oh, he's old, so he shouldn't be doing content creation." But there's no limit to age for content creators. There are content creators much older than I am, and they're doing pretty well. When again, like with Kevin Samuels, he was 52 when he died. Although people kept trying to say he was 56, but he was like 52, so he was doing really well. Within a year, he had amassed a million followers, over a million followers on YouTube. It's over 2 million now. He actually doubled it in his death. His his followers actually doubled in his death. Tell me that's not someone on the grind so much so that the content that he's made and that his estate is now re-releasing, like they edit his older content and re-release it on his channel, and his channel has doubled now. He's like 2.3 million now, I think more than that. On Instagram he has over a million followers. So it's not so people acting like, oh, just because someone is in their 40s or 50s that they can't do content creation. It's just a that's a weird flex to try to work, as if everyone has to be Kai Sanat's age or something. But then they think because I'm older, that means I'm you can attack me. And I'm like, no, I am fit. I am still rather fit enough to fuck them up. Very fit, as a matter of fact. So it's like when I challenged, like a few of these folks have gotten really aggressive with me in the past and have tried to call me out and say they want to fight. And every time I sent them my email with and told them like let's actually set something up and we can shoot the fade, they always back down. Usually because I said I'm gonna film it for my channel. And I think that gives them, well, I think most of them were bullshit in the first place, but even the ones who would have maybe entertained the idea back down because they realized, well, if he's willing to actually film it and put the results up on his channel, then he can probably back what he's saying. Just saying. I know, like the guy behind the channel McDojo Life, a lot of these frauds that he exposed tend to want to challenge him, and every time he tries to set something up to shoot the fade, no one will will do it. All no one person did though. I remember one person did actually spar with him. McDojo McDojo Life did beat his ass, but at least the guy was actually man enough to accept the challenge. Whereas, like I said, all these other folks that try to call me out, and I throw I throw down the gauntlet, then they ghost me. So yeah, most of these dudes are just most of these trolls are cowards because, like I said, when I've thrown down the gauntlet, none of them were there to answer the call, and which I wish they did because I really would like to actually like throw hands on someone and film it because I'm sure I'm sure people I'm sure people. I mean, I don't have a lot of followers, but I'm pretty sure the ones who do watch my content would love to see me actually fighting instead of just me always talking about it or seeing some of my little training footage from years ago. They would probably like to see, oh, he can actually like throw some hands. So yeah, it would be that would be nice. Hey Agatha. Oh, Ms. Contrarian got to go. I'm sorry about that. I'm gonna hit you up I'm gonna hit you up in a few minutes because I'm gonna get off in a little bit. Hey Agatha, what's going on? Diana, hello. Robert says Logan Paul. I don't really like him, but I can't hate on him. He's actually a really good wrestler. Yeah, well, he's on WWE, right? So the thing is, look, if you get onto WWE, you're a talented athlete. Like getting I like if I don't know if you remember the reality show of becoming a WWE wrestler. It is really hard to get on. Like you like WWE is at the height of pro wrestling. Is at I mean is at the apex of professional wrestling. To be able to get to WWE and not only get to WWE but to be one of the stars of WWE, like you have to be really talented. You have to be a good athlete. And although pro wrestling is sports entertainment, as they call it, you have to actually be able to perform those maneuvers, which would actually work in real life and put someone in the hospital if you were able to deploy them on someone. So what although WWE is sports entertainment, the moves are legit. I don't. The thing I don't like about the polls is just the way they market themselves. Basically, like they're just douchebags. But I'll give it to both Jake and Logan Paul. They can actually throw hands. It's just that Jake Paul is I don't like what he's doing is almost WWE level type boxing because he he rarely, except for once or twice, have fought like serious fighters and is always under a mysterious contracts in which he fights, like these NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, where I assume there's a lot written into it of who can win and if they win, how they win, and so. But yeah, I won't take it from them. They can actually look. Both Logan and Jake can shoot the fade with someone, but I just personality wise, yeah, they leave a lot to be desired. Agus says I'm overseas with work. That's why I haven't seen you in a while. Roberts is tough enough. But in any case, I'm about to go, guys. It's getting late. Robert says it takes real talent and skill, in my opinion. It's a real sport based off that. Yeah, like pro wrestling. Pro wrestling does come from legit wrestling. I think there's pro wrestling. I forgot I read about this a while ago. I think it has its roots in like catch can wrestling and in freestyle wrestling. I think those are its roots. But yeah, like I said, not only is it that if you have real talent, but it is very hard to be a WWE wrestler. Like the the level, like the dedication it takes to get there, it takes talent and and immense athleticism to be a WWE wrestler. Not to mention a star of WWE. So like I said, the reality show they used to have about becoming a WWE wrestler showed just how tough it was. So yeah, so I don't I know I wouldn't I wouldn't want to get into a scrap with any WWE wrestler, but I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people who think they could shoot the fade with a WWE wrestler because they go, oh, that's just fake. I'm like, all right, if you say so. Plus, those guys are gigantic. Pause. But the like, yeah, these guys often use performance enhancing substances. The smallest guys are still bigger than the average guy man. Again, pause. But like you see someone like John Cena and you think he's small, but he's only small compared to those guys who are like 6'6", 6'5", and like John Cena's like what 6'1", 6'2", or something like that. He's still a really tall and muscular guy, but compared to those other dudes who are like freaking titans, he looks small compared to them. But if you see Cena in person, that's he's a pretty big guy. Again, pause. But anywho, the wife had to leave, so I know she wants to tell me about what's going on. So I would go see what she's talking about, and we can finish this off tomorrow. Um, sorry, Agatha. Oh, Agatha. By the way, before you came on, did you know Miss Needle showed back up out of nowhere? You have a good night as well, man. Um, I'll talk to you guys later. I'll be back tomorrow. Peace out. Yeah, yeah, she really did come back. You can scroll up the chat room, or once I end this, you could just watch the replay. She only showed up for like one comment. To, of course, it was a religious comment. Of course, she couldn't help herself, but it was just good to see that she's still alive and well. But good on her. Wise was remember wrestler David Schultz, Bear Geraldo. I don't remember David Schultz, but probably if I saw his face, I probably remember him. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna be out. Oh, beat Geraldo, Geraldo Rivera. That's definitely some '80s shit. All right, I gotta go, guys. Peace out.